Hey, hey, what you laughing at? What I do?
You need to do that, and it's me. I dropped my tablet. We are live. I'm in the middle of posting that we're live, and I dropped the tablet trying to unmute. Don't pay attention to me.
Listen, when I was over here trying to sneak me some Smarties, because y'all know I've been on my sugar rush, don't judge me. My braces came off and I'm free, okay? So I'm eating all the candy. But, Tim, what's going on? Happy Wednesday. How are you?
Happy Wednesday, and on Wednesdays we wear pink. I remember my pink this week. Girl, I am on such a high right now because me and the husband and his organization and my organization, we made Black History in New York City this week. We
Talk about
hosted, yes, we hosted the first ever HBCU audition fair. We had 11 band directors from HBCUs across the country and Bedford Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. We even made ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Period.
And to this moment,
Yeah.
students who auditions got $282,000 worth of.
Let's go. Come on. See, this is what I need my sound effects. We got some growing to do because I need some real sound effects. Pim, pim, pim. I want some New York DJ sound effects right now. Oh, DJ Brett over here.
At right now. Well, Funk Master Flex. That's what we Funk Master Flex at.
Yes. That is so dope. Congratulations to you and husband and the family and all of those involved. That is so amazing. Wow. And congratulations to all the recipients and those on the receiving end of that greatness and history. Make it come on because it's February. I'm just saying. It's like
I am Black History.
Exactly. Oh, I love it so much because I've had a regular work week, right? My week is crazy. Single motherhood is crazy. But I'm excited, nevertheless. I started working on another solo book. So I'm halfway through that, y'all. Okay. Yes.
She
so
be right.
I'll be writing. So I'm really excited about that. Of course, we have so much other things going on with the Diamonds, monologues that we're working on, documentary that we're working on. We got our new Diamond. So there's just so much keeping me busy and high energy. I went on a date. I'll get back to that. Another episode. Girl, I hate dating in Atlanta. But anyway, we got a really, really dope show for y'all tonight and an amazing guest, someone that I truly respect. And just the energy, the vibes, y'all will see. I get to see it every week. Well, most weeks when neither of us are traveling, but super, super dope dude here to drop some gems for y'all tonight. As always, be respectful in the comments, be welcoming, shout him out. If you're here to support him, make sure that you let us know you're in the building. But before we move on, y'all go share this. Because I know y'all didn't. Come on, Gems. What?
Girl, I'm firing you as the engineer. Where's the thing scrolling for? Like, share, comment, subscribe. Come on. Where's that?
Get me together. But y'all still, they should know. They here every week with us. Did anybody like, share, tag your friends? Y'all gonna want friends in this episode. We got a man.
Y'all saw the title. Y'all know somebody who's ego tripping to nowhere. You better tag them.
Get them in here. So let's do that now. Let's go do that now. Tiff, I'm gonna hand it over to you because I'm anxious to get our guest out, but I want to make sure that we, do what we got to do first for the show, and then we'll bring them out.
Okay, so we're gonna take a serious moment here for a moment. Today, the world lost a beacon. Hadia Broadbent was just a child when she appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and I believe it was 1986, to discuss her life living with HIV and AIDS. Hadia was born in 1984 with undiagnosed HIV. She was, for lack of a better term, her biological or her birth mother abandoned her at a hospital in Las Vegas. She was placed up for adoption. She was immediately adopted. And by the age of 3, she was diagnosed with HIV. And was not expected to live beyond the age of 5. And Hadia passed away and transitioned to the ancestral plane at the age of 39, which is a miracle. Throughout her short life, she was an advocate for HIV, awareness. She was a spokesperson for the Magic Johnson Foundation. And she was just out there being a young Black woman with this condition. And she chose to live her life unapologetically, out loud, in front of the world. And we send our prayers and condolences and love and light to her family and friends. So we lost the beacon today. All right. So
All right, just a quick moment of silence for her. All right, thank you so much, Tiff, for that. And did you have a sober up moment today?
you know I do, girl.
Okay.
And I know you. I already saw your take on it.
Yes.
Give me my graphics.
Listen, I'm gonna let you have, your moment. I'm gonna let you have your moment.
Yes. All right.
All right, go ahead.
This sober up moment is brought to you by the TikTok that kept us in a chokehold the last few days. TikToker Risa Tisa did a 50-part story entitled "Who the F Did I Marry?" Yeah. Now, initially, I hopped onto TikTok, yesterday. So we're already 4 or 5 days into her story, just because everybody else was talking about it and the sensationalism of it. And instead, I witnessed a woman on a healing journey tell her story about how she met and married a man who was nothing of what he presented himself to be. Everything that came out of this man's mouth was a lie. Phew. And what it boiled down to was her, and she said it, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. She allowed this man to say and do things in front of her face. She ignored every hue of red flag there possibly could be because she wanted to be loved. She wanted to be married. And part of the way through, her ego would not allow her to be like, this ain't right. I need to pump and pause the brakes on what's happening here. And so Risa Tisa has opened up conversation around dating, lying. There are men and women both in relationships where everything that is coming out of your partner's mouth is a lie, and they are gaslighting the hell out of you. You don't know left from right, up from down, red from blue. And when you're in it, it's like, oh snap, how did I get here? Yeah. And so if you haven't caught it, I know you said what you said, and I'm gonna let you stand on business on that. But I'm telling you, from a healing journey perspective, it is very eye-opening. I do not see any difference in her getting on TikTok and sharing 50, 10-minute episodes of her life than if she would have took pen to paper and joined us as a diamond writer. I might hit her up and tell her we got a platform for her. But yes. Today's sober moment goes to Risa Tisa and everyone out there who is in a relationship that is signaling all the red flags and you are still full steam ahead. Here's to you, and I hope you and wish you a peaceful journey off that road.
Wow. Well, look, I have very little to say on it other than the fact that it was 4 hours. I was like, people really? Well, that's what I heard. It was 4 hours. Again, I did not watch it, so that's why I will keep my comments very brief. One thing I will say, I would love for her to write with us. So can somebody make that happen? Somebody connect us with her because I'm not on TikTok.
I'm gonna do the DMs.
Yeah, slide her DM for us. I would love to, to have her write with us. But I did hear that, she was very honest about the part she played in the situation. And so that's what we actually want to talk about tonight, is how our ego will have us in situations and staying in situations that we should have left a long time ago because we don't want to lose our, all those things. I would love to talk about the difference between pride and ego because I know folks confuse that. But we got backup tonight, y'all. Once again, We heard y'all. We heard y'all. Y'all said y'all wanted more men. Y'all wanted to hear male voices, male perspective, masculine energy on the show. And so we're going to deliver that. I had to invite a friend of mine, a leader of mine, to come and be on the show. Listen, I don't even think my little intro can do him any justice, but he is a father, a podcaster, a believer. He is a ministry director in which I serve under. He is our church comedian. He makes everyone laugh, makes everyone feel present, seen, and heard and celebrated. Corporate, corporate career, sales guru, all the things. I'm gonna let him come out and introduce himself, and then we're gonna jump into the topic. But please welcome Real Talk Toy, who I like to call Toy McCoy. 1 second, let me get the screens together, and then please say what's up to the people.
Welcome.
How y'all doing tonight? What's going on, people? Oh my gosh, Diamond Riders, y'all really kicked it off. I appreciate hearing all that. I like the sober moment, the graphics. Look at y'all. Big things.
We told you.
Hey, you know what's so crazy? I'm on the line right now with two New Yorkers. So both of y'all talk fast, I talk fast. So we're gonna go back and forth, real fast.
That would say he's not from New York, but please do tell the people where you're from, who you are, because like I said, I know my intro was like skimpy.
No worries. My name is Yo Toy, but I go by Toy McCoy. My mother liked palindromes, Y-O-T-O-Y, spell the same way backwards and forwards. I do have a podcast called Real Talk, the number 2, the letter U, all together, Real Talk to You. We talk about relationships and everything, dating and finances, dating and kids. So we go back and forth all the time. This type of conversation I love because it gets me more in depth with another show that I do called Men of a Certain Age, where we do talk about things that are a little bit more mental health and a little bit more emotional and spiritual and financial, that type of level. So yeah, I actually, dad, work in corporate America, been there for so long. Oh Lord, Black man in corporate American leadership. Oh boy, I got stressed and I got ego.
That's another topic.
Yes. And my ego problems, I got to hide mine, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, so just a lot of big energy, love doing stuff like this. And I love to talk. And by the way, I'm a Leo, so I'm going to run off at the mouth. Team, you got to shut me up. Actually, you know what? No, Tiffany, you shut me up.
I was going to say, because I got to be under your leadership. I don't want no beef. No, I'm kidding. But we are so glad to have you here. This is your second home. I know you have your own platform and podcast, but just know that you are family when you're here. So there's nothing off limits to say, to share. If you disagree with us, we know that you'll do it respectfully. We always encourage our gems and gents. That is what we refer to our viewers, to keep it respectful in the comments. But we are excited to dive into this topic. The reason ego or conversations around ego is so important to me is because my ego has cost me so much. It's cost me relationships, friendships, opportunities, connections. Like I lost a lot, including finances, because I just could not get over myself. I could not get past my ego trip. And as a part of my healing journey, people always ask me, how did your humility surface? Because people think humility means downing yourself, downplaying who you are, dimming your light. That's not humility. That's not being humble. Really, it is not the absence of humility, but the absence of ego that really does help in your growth journey. So I would love to talk about that tonight. We got 3 topics, and then we out they way. The first topic I want to introduce as we discuss this ego trip, which is a journey to nowhere, is the true nature of the ego. I want to come to you first, Toy, because I would love for you to unpack for us, for Tiff and I, as well as our viewers, what does the ego look like? How does it manifest in our behavior, in relationships, on the job, at church? Okay, out, you know what I'm saying? With our people, with our family, with our friends, what does the ego look like?
So the definition obviously talks about self-esteem and self-importance, but realistically, when you really think about ego, based on your experiences, ego is a way to basically hide your weaknesses and showcase your strengths. That's really what ends up happening. Don't do that. Don't do it. I told you not to do that.
I didn't make no promises, but go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, that's basically what it is. Ego is a way to just basically hide your weaknesses and showcase your strength. Reason being because ego is insecurity. Insecurity for anyone, especially super successful people or people that think they should be super successful, is even more detrimental because you're even more sensitive to your ego issues. So when you're trying to hide a weakness, and and then you're trying to showcase a strength, what happens is you start leaning so far into your strength that you don't develop that weakness to be any stronger. And the minute someone touches that weakness, says something about that weakness, or even hits you in a spot where you're like, oh my gosh, they know about it, that insecurity, now all hell done broke loose. Now you lead further into your strengths. So let's take finances, for example. You can ride around here in a 2000, I said 2000, let's go 90s. You can ride around here in a 1999 Toyota, I guess, whatever, right? But we choose to ride around in cars that sometimes define us, or we want to define us. The problem is we put so much into that, then our finances are off. We got a $600 card note, and we up here trying to make sure everybody know who we are, because our weakness is our finances. Our weakness is our ability to actually get past our security. Our weakness is the fact that we allow other people to dictate how we should live. So we got to lean on our strength. We got a little bit of money, we're going to push into that. We got a little car, we're going to push harder into that. So that's what it is. When you look at ego, it's a weakness that you're basically trying to hide, and you're trying to showcase the strength on the other side.
Period. So he came out, he chose violence. Like, he just came out the gate. Go on, Tim, I'm coming to you.
So first of all, he said he's not from New York. You from Cali? Because you just did a drive-by, like just sprayed it out there. So the first thing I heard you said is a hit dog hollers. Like that's the simple way we're gonna put it when we are masking our insecurities and our deficiencies. But it's not just, for me, it's not just about a car or a lifestyle. It also becomes about appearance. So I have always considered myself girl next door. Like, I'm cute, like, yeah. And people are like, are you kidding? You're gorgeous. And I'm like, no, I'm cute. So-and-so is gorgeous. And then they're like, do you really see them behind all of that makeup and that fake body and all that other stuff? And where I'm sitting here trying to downplay my beauty, they're sitting there using their beauty to like a magic trick. Like, look over here and see all of this body, all this beat face, all this fake hair, lashes, whatever, nails, all this other stuff, and don't see the hollow person that's here. The person who isn't a good friend, the person who isn't a good partner, the person who isn't a good parent, the person who might have been a poor student. And a lot of this stuff is born in childhood. Like, something happened in childhood. It was like, oh, she's so cute. And all she heard was, I'm cute. Nobody said, oh, she's so smart. She's intelligent. She has such a creative imagination. All she heard was cute. So now she's built this whole persona around being cute and not allow the other sides of her to come out, which might not actually be deficiencies, but they weren't shined upon in a growing stage where she could have like watered that and nourished that. So it's a couple of things there for me when it comes down to the ego.
That's so good. And Toy, you look like you wanted to comment on something Tiff said, so I'm gonna come back to you.
Especially when they talk about women, and I was gonna get to it anyway. When it comes to ego with women, and it's sometimes seen again a weakness, like you said, that whole makeup situation, that whole this, that whole that. I get it. It's something that makes you feel better, but some people take it too far. And that becomes their mask. Because guess what? If I can hide that weakness long enough and showcase what I think everybody wants to see, which is that strength, now it's like, oh yeah, now I'm the thing. And like you said, they're at home crying in the fetal position. You know what I'm saying? They thumb in their mouth when they get home, the makeup come off. They're like, I ain't that pretty, I ain't that cute. But they need that validation. The same validation they probably got as a kid about something specific they were good at, but no one ever nurtured the things they weren't good at. And that's the problem. Nurture something, is going to grow. But then when you don't pay attention to something that's your weakness, I mean, you can't walk around just on your right leg, all day. If you got two legs, you walk around your right leg, the meat stuff on that left leg, guess what happens? You're going to fall. You lean into those strengths again, and that's the problem. We don't get a chance to develop our weaknesses to the point we're proud of them because it's an insecurity. Like, you got to be proud of who you are, proud of the skin that you're in. That's the thing. And it's hard to do that unless you have a mental path that you've gone on, unless you have a moment of actually reflection and looking back at yourself and asking yourself, why do I do these things? I remember a long time ago, I asked myself, why do I lie? You know why? Because I want to be the cool kid. I want to be in the mix of everything. So I say, yeah, I saw that fight. Yeah, they was doing this and doing that. People are like, you was there? Yeah, I was there. I saw the whole thing. I had a realization like, why am I lying? Because I want to be of attention.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what, when you take that and look at every relationship that you're in, every person you talk to, you got to realize there's something they do that they may not understand why they do. You know, you have to accept that in them and realize, if they haven't had that realization to realize, why do I lie? Why do I choose this versus that? If I don't have that realization, then guess what? I'm not developing that weakness. I'm just going to lean on my strength.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good. I want to comment on something I think Tiff said about deficiencies in how we will nurture and invest in our children in one area, and then neglect the others. And what that does is create incompleteness in them. I don't even think it's a deficiency. I think it's they never got to complete, developing that part of who they are or who they're becoming. One thing I want to offer before I come back to both of you on this particular subtopic, I promised at the beginning of the show that I would define the difference between pride and ego, because I want to make sure that our gems and gents understand the nature of this dialogue and this discussion. We are not discussing pride. We're talking about ego. So ego is self-admiration, whereas pride could be self-satisfaction. They're very different. Your pride comes from when you do something well, and maybe you're prideful in your ability, whereas ego is where you just think it's self-centered. You're self-centric. Another definition one of my mentors gave me years ago about the difference between pride and ego, she said, ego is born in the mind. Pride is born in the heart. So pride is a heart condition. Ego is a mentality. And so I want us to have a discussion from that point. So with that said, I'm coming back to you because I want to hear from you, Toy, when it comes to women in relationships. How does our ego sabotage the relationship, or sabotage what we could be building with someone, or just turn a man off? And I'm not talking masculine energy because that's real big right now. I'm not even talking pride, but just in terms of how you recognize or identify her ego. Like, what does that do for you?
How much time y'all got? Because I just want to make sure we got enough time to touch this topic.
37 minutes.
Thank you. I'm going to go use 39. So let me start off first by telling you this. Women, when it comes to ego, from my own experiences, again, disclaimer, from my own experiences, I ain't experienced all of y'all, so don't worry. I ain't talking about all of y'all. But the ones I know,
right.
They get influenced more by a collective ego of women thinking they should have this or have that. It's collective thought process that then turns into them, and they don't even realize this. And this is the simplest way, because I'm a man, so we kind of dumb, we kind of slow. So I'm gonna break it down to you like this. We ain't gonna comment on your lashes, or we're not a man. We're not gonna comment on things that don't matter to us. But women, y'all get dressed up and do all this stuff for each other, not for the men, because y'all competing with that ego of she looks like this, she looks like that, she has to be this, she has to be that. So much so that the man becomes just an accessory to make you look good, and not nothing that you can actually dive into and make your own. And then that way you ain't got to worry about what she says you should have, or she says you should have. You already have it. But you're too busy trying to make that man who's a good man into something that you think you should have. Had that man take you on a trip, had that man do this. A lot of ego with a lot of women that I know. Let me put that back out. Don't y'all come for me. I'll put my disclaimer out there. And also people I've talked to, they have that in them where their ego is contained as a collective as to what they should have, who they should be with. And they don't get a chance to look at themselves and think about what they should develop in themselves better to attract what they really want, or realize it when they are developing themselves to realize you do have what you really want. Instead of looking outside and saying, hey, you did something wrong. It should be more, what did I do to make you do that? Or how can I respond to that differently? Why am I hurt by something? You have to look at all those different factors about yourself. Again, self-reflection. So I don't want to make comments. I did say some women.
No, that's good. No, we appreciate that. Go ahead, Tiff.
No, so what he's got me thinking about is a herd mentality. And yes, it definitely is one of those things where I'm trying to think of something as a collective of women. It's, when we're with our friends, and I'm going to speak from my standpoint and what I've done. I have different clusters of girlfriend circles or whatever it is. And coming into a new circle, I gauge what the rest of the circle is into and not into to help me figure out if A, I'm going to fit in here, but B, like, I want to try and expand my mind when I join these circles. I'm looking to expand and expose myself to new things.
Right.
So I joined a group, and one of the things they were talking about different types of foods that they like to eat. And some of these foods, because I'm a girl from the hood, you know, I like make you. Yeah, you can take me to Applebee's. I'm gonna get me some spinach dip and some wings. Like, but they started to, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess I'm supposed to like these certain types of things so that when I go out with these, I have to maybe put on airs that I know what they're talking about when it comes to these certain things. And part of it is that my ego won't allow me to be like, hey, I really don't know what this is, but I'm gonna go with what everybody else is saying. So everybody else said this thing right here is what we're supposed to be eating, and it's the best thing since sliced cheese. I'm be like, okay, this is the best thing we eat since sliced cheese. And that's how easy it is to get caught up in herd mentality.
Mhm.
I think fellas do the same thing too. Sometimes it could be something as simple as, I don't know, beer at the bar or whatever it is. You don't want to be the odd person out. And
Right.
so you continue to follow what everybody else is doing. Sometimes you like it, and sometimes you fake it till you make it.
Right.
That is such a good point and a good example of that, because people always think people that are high up there in society don't have egos. Do y'all understand people that are higher up in society have the weakest egos? Case in point, you just said men do it too. A person that did it and realized and had his own self-reflection, and we all kind of saw this story unfold, thank you to Solange, was Jay-Z. Jay-Z had an ego. He thought he had to still be out. You got Beyonce, sir, and you still out here looking for Becky with the good hair. You know why? Because ego said he still needed more because he hadn't developed his weakness, which is being a dad, being a father. He probably hasn't or wasn't raised to be that. That was a weakness. So he leaned on his strength with his, I'm going to go back out here and get some of these chicks, get it in. You got Beyonce at the crib, sir. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can somehow just lay on her toes and be happy. You know what I'm saying? But no, because your ego tells you, hey, man, you good, but hey, go and get something else. Because if you settle down into your ego and deal with your insecurity, deal with the fact that you weren't raised correctly to be a dad, you weren't raised correctly to be a husband, that's the problem. And he couldn't face that until that 444 album came out, and he had to face his money that made him face his ego.
That part. Oh my God, that was so loaded. Go ahead, Tiff.
No, I was going to say it's so true, because having conversations with the men in my life, my brothers, my husband, cousins, all that other stuff, one of the first things to stroke a man's ego is another woman being interested in him. Everything can be beautiful in the home. And when I say beautiful, I mean, there are no rifts. There's no nothing. You two have formed a comfortability with each other. Mm-hmm. But let him step outside and somebody notice he got his hair lined up a little bit, or he might have, look like his shirt is filling out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And automatically he got a broken neck. Like, there's nothing wrong over here, homie.
Right.
There's nothing wrong. But she stroked something within you. She gave you some type of validation that you felt that you didn't get at home. Mm-hmm. But you were getting it. It just was new. It was a new set of eyes, a new person to be like, hey, I see you. And he was like, oh, you see me. And out the door he went. Now I'm going the whole damn house. Now you get bust up in the elevator.
So stupid. Go ahead, Toy.
I would say all that is exactly true, but I got a little bit of pushback. We slower than y'all. Y'all the advanced, gender. So this is what happens with men. I'm telling you from my point of view. All right. We have gone after women and have been hunters all of our lives up until we get that one woman that says yes to the same line we use 175 million times. Hey, girl. And one finally responded, right? We're used to being told no. We're used to being told, we have to get something based on what we have and everything like that. We're not used to someone saying, hey, you look nice today. You know what I'm saying? Because even in a marriage, you function as sometimes a tool or an accessory. And there really isn't too much different from it. And the reason is you function as a tool or an accessory is because you're there for the support of the woman. And her support does not come with words of affirmation sometimes. Her support might just come with, hey, help me with this, help me with that. And guess what we do? We jump to it because we only define ourselves as men by how we help our women. But then let this other girl, Becky with the good hair, walk by us and be like, oh, your nose is like Morris Chestnut. Oh, girl, what? Oh, I got a Morris Chestnut nose? It's on and popping.
That's why she said she like her man with Michael Jackson nostrils.
Exactly. I'm so done. Listen, I was not going to laugh. I was going to be serious. But look, one thing that you said, Toy, I want to comment. You said it a while back about how men and women too, we choose our relationships and our friends based on our ego and not our character. And you made such a great point about how our ego really does act as a veneer for our weaknesses. It's really just the cover, hoping no one can see or spot or sense or will call out or expose our weaknesses. And that made me think of something I read, because you also talked about self-awareness, and y'all know I read all the time. But one of my favorite authors, Eckhart Tolle, he says self-awareness and ego cannot coexist because ego implies unawareness. The ego is the barometer of consciousness. So the higher your ego is, the lower your level of consciousness will be, and the less self-aware you'll be, making you more susceptible to social comparison, jealousy, materialism, pride, entitlement, indifference, and heartlessness. And
I want everybody to know who rehearsed that. I just can't. That's tight, right? How it all connects.
I'm just saying, and so that's why, like, as soon as you said self-awareness, the covering of weaknesses, it reminded me of that. So while y'all were talking, I was sitting here scrolling, like going through my Goodreads, like, where is it? I know I have it, because that's so key and so significant, and really a dope segue into our second subtopic, because I really want to talk about how the ego is our enemy, but really just a reflection of the inner me. But before we do that, Tiff, you want to show some love?
Yes, I can't read the comments, but drop them up there. Pop them up there. I'll read them.
I got you. So look, let's just see real quick, Toy. We like to see who in the building. It is going to make our screen a little smaller, but Bernadette says, good evening.
And drop some diamonds. We got Mel. Oh, we forgot to tell the people where Mel is. Send Mel some love and well wishes. Mel's been grinding. And now she out here with a sore throat and no voice. So that's why she's not here tonight. Thank you, Mel.
Sound like T-Bars over there. Bernadette says, great job, Tiffany. Congrats. We got Shell Mack, one of our diamonds. Hello. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We got Joyce in the building. Deborah, hi, welcome. Interesting. Is that ego or pride that makes you follow? Oh, that's a good question. Y'all want to tackle that?
I was about to say that's a good one to come back into the comments later on after the show. I might. Does ego or pride make you follow?
Let's talk about that now, and then we can get to the second subtopic.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it's a little bit of both, because the pride is that you don't want to look foolish, but ego is also related to what you learn, and so you learn first by following. So it becomes the pride is when you're following along something and you shouldn't be doing it, but you still continue to do it. I think that's the pride part, because you're too prideful, too afraid of what may be said about you if you fall off or cast away from whatever everybody else is doing, whether it's a trend or, me in the group eating the food that I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm eating.
Yeah, that's good. Toy, what do you think on that question?
Pride is a dopamine that you receive after your ego tells you to follow something and you're successful doing it. That's what that is. That's how I look at it. Because the minute you follow something, follow a trend, follow something that's going on, your ego is saying you do it. Lean into your strength. That pride is that dopamine. That's like, yeah, you did right. Keep leaning into that strength. Don't lean into that old other stuff because you're getting satisfied with it. Don't lean into your weakness. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
That's just what it is. It makes you feel good about something that you're doing that leans into a strength of yours. And now you're like, yes, I can do this. I can put on this facade and be this person. I can have this much money and still be Jay-Z. I can have all this stuff going on me, lead a church and be this way, because guess what? I'm leaning to my strength. But I haven't dealt with the fact that, that third kid really ain't my kid. You ain't leaned into all that,
Yeah.
And it'll be the ego who shows up once you get caught. And now you gotta like explain what it is that you did, because you don't want to appear wrong. You want to, as we say, you want to stand on business 10 toes down, like, yep, I did this. And that, to me, that's ego. That's not pride.
Yeah.
Because pride is superficial. Ego will have you doing something that will put your life in danger, is not good for your mental, physical health, well-being, yeah.
Absolutely. And like I said, that's a perfect segue into our second subtopic. Is I really want to discuss for folks how our ego really is an enemy of ours. It's an enemy to our growth. It's an enemy to our relationships, to connections. It's an enemy to spirituality. You cannot serve God from a place of ego. I know scripture speaks a lot about pride, but ego is somewhere in there. And the reason I say that, for those of you who are believers or at least are familiar with the word, when you go back to Genesis, and God asked Adam, "Where are you?" He knew where he was, but Adam's ego was like, the woman you gave me, it was your fault that we fell because you gave me that woman, right? And so again, to him, Eve was the weakness. And so obviously that's what Adam used when God confronted him. I ain't really got time for a Bible study, but that is something that I remember from childhood, my pastor teaching about ego and how it shows up in our walk with God. And you cannot have a relationship with God and have an ego. It just doesn't work. You definitely have to let that go. And so anyway, I want to really focus now on ways that we see our ego manifesting in our lives, keeping us from things, keeping things from us, being disruptive to things that we already have been working on. Just to give an example, I was in a relationship, and like you said, Toy, I leaned on my strengths and would throw those in his face every time we had an argument. It didn't even have to do with the argument, but because it was where I felt empowered, it was where I felt like I had control, I brought it up, okay? And it hadn't, I swear to God, we could be arguing about Chipotle, but I'm going to bring up the fact that I got 5 degrees. I'm going to bring up the fact that I earn more. Like, this is old Tima, not healed Tima. But that's what I would do.
Last week, Tima.
That was her a couple of months ago. No, seriously, this was like years ago. But my point is, like, it was easier for me to lean into my strengths opposed to just humbling myself and saying, you know what, you're right. You've exposed one of my weaknesses. You've uncovered an insecurity, and it cost me, that relationship. And then same thing happened at work. My ego is why I left my last company. I mean, I'm happy with my new company, but I was really pissed at them. And it really, at the end of the day, when I assessed, I was like, you're really not mad. That's your ego in the way. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about how can we help people identify where their ego is really disrupting their lives? Because folks don't realize it. Arguing with strangers on social media, that's your ego typing. That's not you. You're not a thumb thug. What are you doing? But go ahead. All right, I'm coming you first, Toy.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get raw with y'all. The only way you can learn about ego is you have to be broken by it. So here's my example of when I was broken by it. I was married at a time when everything in my life was literally it leaned up. I was the high school athlete. I was a college athlete. I graduated, had the girl I wanted. Everything made sense. No one ever tested my insecurity. But yet that little 5'7", 720-pound woman, and I'm 6'3", 285 on good and bad days, she broke me. She broke me because in my mindset, because I haven't dealt with how to be a husband, I didn't know how to be, I wasn't taught that, right? I knew how not to leave a child, but I didn't know how to also not leave a woman. So the thing that happened to me, how my ego got broke, is she actually had an affair on me. And when she had her affair, I couldn't understand why it happened to me. My self-esteem, my self-importance was broken. And at a certain point, I kept thinking to myself, well, how could you? And I kept blaming me until my ego got broken. And I realized everything I learned all the way up until she did that was false. You aren't the best thing out there. You aren't you aren't the best looking. You ain't got Morris chestnut nose. You ain't the best looking guy out there. When your ego gets broken, you lean on your other strengths. Well, what are your other weaknesses actually is when they showcase. And that's what I had to do. And my weakness was my mental health. My weakness is learning how to be a good boyfriend, a good husband, a good dad, a good human. I had to lean on that. But that only happens after your ego gets broken. So people going to be still thumbing away. But when their ego gets broken and they're face down, or better yet, in my example, crying to a stranger in the grocery store about this woman that broke your heart, trying to explain to them why it's her fault and your ego's really broken, that's when you realize, like, wait a minute, I need to start all over again, rebuild without the strengths. They're going to be there. They're going to be there for you. Start building on those weaknesses to hold up both sides. So from this point going forward, I've learned, obviously, through mentoring other men going through divorce, through dealing with other women in my lifetime, I've learned no one can hurt me like that again. Now, you can hurt me, but not like that. Not because of unresolved trauma, not because of therapy, just because I understand that it's not me. And I understand that when it does happen again, it's more of what I probably can look at from that person, not look at from myself and say I'm wrong, or I should have been stronger here or better here. I could look and say, okay, this didn't work out not 100% because of me. This didn't work out because of us. So that wasn't compatible. It doesn't lessen me where I now have to do a thing where I have to make sure I get the next hot chick. No, it doesn't lessen me. I can now take my time and realize I'm not lesser, so I ain't got to go try to find something to make me feel better. I'm already okay.
Wow.
So you got to get broken.
I see you, Tip, taking notes because I'm over here typing notes all in my phone. Like, what?
I'm telling you, the best thing I did this season was start bringing a journal so that I could write and be able to, you say something and I could pop it in my notes and then be able to come back to it. What I want to say is, I know for me, ego shows up when I am internally having an argument with myself. There are two voices in my head. Perfect example, my husband and I are having a disagreement over something. And it could be the most trivial, minute thing. And he will say something that will make it click in my head, like, you know what, he's right. And I'm like, I'm getting ready to go in there and I'm going to tell him he's right and I was wrong. And my ego jumps up like Wesley Snipes in New Jack City. It tells me to sit my $5 ass down before he make change. Like, no. And I'm like, no, he's right. Like, and it's like, and then, ego is something that is taught. Why am I telling myself to sit down and not apologize to this man or admit I was wrong or whatever it is? And it's based off of something that was taught to me by the people around me when I was growing up. Nobody apologized in my household growing up. Apologize. Is that a word or Wheel of Fortune? Apologize. What the? Mm-hmm. Nobody is saying I'm sorry. Nope. Nobody is admitting they are wrong. Everybody, I'm right. This is me. All of that. And I'm telling you right now, today is February 20th, 2024. Me and this man will have a disagreement next week. I'm telling you, even having this conversation, my ego is still going to tell me to sit down and don't go in there and tell that man he was right. You better not make us look bad.
No,
I got so much for that.
Go ahead, Toy. I'm gonna come back to you. Go ahead. What's your response to that?
First of all, the New Jack reference, I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I definitely appreciate that. I do hope he's listening to this show. Seriously.
Take a minute. You better.
That was your way of apology. No, don't use this as an apology. You better apologize for real.
I apologize during the show.
In real life, nope, you got to go in there with that.
But it does sound like you have the self-awareness of understanding how you were raised by that collective, whatever, and that's whatever collective. It's not the same group of women. It's a different collective, different stages in life. And that growth sometimes happens when people come into your life and you see them different. You have people's testimony that you can see. And sometimes it does happen when you join churches and get that spiritual growth, because you see people dealing with things and their ego not get involved. You see people dealing with someone maybe at work, you know, that man's a Christian. So you see how he deals with being yelled at or being cursed at, and then doesn't find a way to fight back in physical or verbal altercation, but a way to make things right and go above and beyond the situation at a higher altitude than anything else. So that's why I was just listening to what you're saying. And I do want you to apologize to your husband. Go ahead, Tim. One of us got to win tonight. If it's him, I'm cool with it. Just somebody.
Oh my God. No, but thank you both so much for what you contributed to that subtopic. I really do hope it helps people to identify, you know, where their ego is tripping, like where their ego tripping, and how they're ruining relationships, connections, opportunities, all of those things, because we don't admit that our ego gets in the way. I was on a viral thread today, and I made a very generic and general comment about the behavior of both those in the video, and someone targeted me and said, you blaming him and not saying anything about her behavior is exactly why women like you exist and all of this. And I'm like, you got all of that from a fraction of a thought of mine that you have now put me in a box, in a category with thousands of other women who probably also don't deserve to be in that box. That's your ego. That is something in you that is weak, hurt, offended. And so you felt the need to respond to me. And so at first, I had written, y'all know how we are. We write honey, I wrote a novel of a response and was about to go in on him. And I said, and you know what? This is why he feels the way he feels about women. This is exactly why. So I deleted it all and let my ego take a back seat. Because Tip, come on with the growth. Okay, I needed the growth applause. Okay. And then I said, well, sir, you know, pretty much this is what I actually meant. And if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to Google me, you'll see that I actually built a platform supporting men in these type of custody battle situations. This is what I advocate for. This is why I'm going to law school, because I want to help men in this situation, not perpetuate the behavior of the woman. And so he DM'd me and was like, yo, my fault. Like, you're right. I judged you off of a fraction of a thought. And I'm so glad that my ego did not control that, because that could be future husband, because he was chocolate and kind of cute. So I don't know. You don't know what that could turn into. So I'm glad
you was about to. She read that. She was like, finish him.
Yeah. He might be bae. How you gonna go? I'm gonna tell you what happened. What happened was you said what you said. He saw your picture and was like, man, these are the type of women I can't get. I was gonna say something slick, and then you came back showing.
And you invited him to your DMs.
Exactly.
So true.
He gonna be sorry, huh? What'd you say?
No, I was thanking you for that. I didn't even think about that. Like, that also could have triggered him. Like, oh, yeah, you know, one of them what they call us light-skinned heifers. He go, one of them light-skinned heifers. They mean to all men. No, you know, Wale don't like us. Wale, I still ain't over that. My ego not over that. Wale don't like light-skinned women. But all right, y'all, let's jump into this last topic so that we can get to the final thoughts, which is here's a gem. And the last thing I really want to talk about is really to help the people. Y'all know we usually like to perform surgery and then sew them up and send them home to therapy or physical therapy. And that is, we want you to kill your ego before it kills you. Egos are destructive, especially when you are led by your ego. Now, if they creep up every now and again, like the examples we've all shared tonight, that's manageable. But what happens when your ego is unmanageable, uncontrollable? You are out of control because of your ego. So I'm going to come to you first, Toy. What are some ways folks can really work on diminishing and killing that ego?
Well, I was going to start off first by saying that when your ego gets to that point, it makes you feel entitled, completely entitled to your emotions, your feelings, your thought process about yourself, and entitled to your thoughts and opinions about others. And because you get so entitled based on what your ego makes you think, then there is no wrong you can do. Again, it goes right back to self-reflection, trying to understand where you're coming from and having to be broken. Some of the stuff we've talked about already in the first segment of self-reflection, and the second segment is about being broken. Sometimes you got to be broken to have self-reflection. Sometimes you have self-reflection and it will break you. Either way, whatever order it comes in, you got to get to that point. And when you do get to that point, you can then get past the entitlement. I don't have to feel like you owe me to think of me a certain way because of a position I'm in, or because of the type of car I drive, or because type of girl I got. That makes my ego say, I'm entitled to being the best person out here based on how my strengths show up. My strengths show up so good that I now am the person that you need to pay attention to. And a lot of this happens in a lot of actors and actresses because of the fact that they're loved by so many. Just like we talk about that child being developed, Tiffany, you develop this person, a child or an actor, into thinking they're this awesome of a person. They don't get a chance to see they're wrong. Earlier in the first segment, I said some of the people that have the most, the most weakness are people that are celebrities. Think about the people who would literally commit suicide when you're on top of the world. Think about people who have no self-development when they make so much money. These rappers that kill themselves based on pills. Think about the type of folks that get into financial ruin because they just don't get it. And their ego says, I'm going to be loved forever.
Wow.
Ever. You know what I'm saying? No, it ain't going to be ever. So, yeah, that's where it comes. That entitlement will then, of course, cause you to get in that situation. And that's why I say when you're like a celebrity, that happens even more. But on another level, just realizing that entitlement that's not yours.
Yeah.
It's not yours. That car you bought, you renting that till that thing break down. You know what I'm saying? That house you got, that's yours now because that paycheck is coming in. When that paycheck don't show up, you can't be entitled to think things are yours. You can't think that other people's opinions, other people's views of you are yours, and then you want to control them. That's what gets into the way.
Wow. That is so good. There was so much in that was so loaded, but I'm going to come to you, Tiff.
So the first thing I was like, entitled. There are certain things that I personally believe we are entitled to as humans, and I think it may range from person to person what that is. So I want to dive more into it with you about what entitlements we shouldn't expect or whatever. But I think for me, getting rid of ego starts with asking yourself the all important question: is this really important to me? Whatever it is it really that important to me? Right. And then ascertaining, just taking an inventory of all of the things that are happening around you, and really looking at yourself and like, if I wasn't me and I met me, would I like me? Would I hang out with me? How would I deal with me? And I think asking yourself those questions would be the first way to begin to chop away and reduce ego, because I don't think we're ever going to get rid of it. Ego actually will help us survive certain situations, but to really figure out what's important. Yeah. Is this important to me? And if I met me, how would I deal with me?
That's good. That's good. Sorry, I was writing a comment, responding to a comment in our comments. We got a lot of comments coming in. We will definitely check in on those before we end the show. But one of the things that I recognized when I did start to diminish my ego was a lot of the relationships and connections that were built from ego. I guess ego bonding, and we have trauma bonding, we have ego bonding. A lot of those relationships went away. A lot of those relationships ended because, when I mean relationships, I mean platonic, not just romantic. I know people always go to the thought of romantic, but I'm talking even friendships, connections with coworkers, those that were steeped in my ego. And when I was operating from an egoic nature, all those people are no longer in my life. And so that's something I just wanted to offer, because a lot of people hold on to the ego because they don't want to lose the people they met when they operate in that space. Like Toy said, they love the praise, they love the accolades. We see it all the time with celebrities when they're no longer on top. They don't know how to handle that. And it's really because their ego is suffering. They're fine, but because their ego is what dominates and what controls them, they literally feel like their life is over. Like, oh God, I'm like when Janet let her whole boob fall out at the Super Bowl. That was her ego. I can't not be on top anymore. Beyonce can't come take my spot. I'm the sexy. No, girl, you had your season. You had your time. And so that is something that I recognized in myself. Like, man, I'm not friends and I'm not connected to a lot of these people, but it's because I no longer operate in that nature and in that disposition, and that's okay. So I just wanted to offer that. If that's you holding on to your ego, you're afraid to really work on yourself and become more self-aware because you don't want to lose the people around you that keep telling you how awesome you are, how dope you are, girl, let that go and make room for folks who are going to genuinely love you. No wig, no lashes, no makeup, okay? They coming, I promise you, because I met them and I look. But go ahead, Toy.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Janet's ego. That was a moment for me.
Oh God!
I'll put that
But
out
you
there.
know I'm not lying. You know I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, oh no, her ego was okay with me that day. Yeah, you had to get it live. But to what you're saying again, yes, that is something that does play a role to make you think you have to compete and be up with someone else. I mean, it's just, and kind of to get back to that entitled thing, nothing is ours. Nothing here is ours to say we own this or own that. Not the person that you're next to, not the shirt on your back. Granted, you can be mad if someone were to damage it, but realistically, you think you're entitled to that shirt, that's your thing. Your ego plays a role of ego isn't everything. There's a good amount of ego to have, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when you get to the point where your levels are off and it's fed the wrong way, like they say, what's that old proverb? You know, you got two beasts within you, which one you feed? The one that you feed is the one that gets stronger. That's what's going to happen. So you can't keep feeding. You got to look at both sides. So yes, there is ego in all of us. There has to be. You know what I'm saying? We have to have a moment of confidence, a little bit of bravado, a little bit of, and I'm a Leo, so hey, that's just automatically in me. Confident, not conceited, just so you guys know. But you got to have a little bit of that in you. But you also have to know when to monitor your levels. And that comes with growth mentally. That comes with therapy. That comes to having a real conversation, a mirror to yourself quietly.
Yeah.
So that's where it plays into. And then of course it also plays into your relationships. The same 5 pillars that you have to look at it within yourself, you have to look at when you get into a relationship. That whole mentally, physical, financial, sexually, and all the other stuff. I can't remember the other one now, but all those play a role. Emotionally, and all those play a role. You have to play a role with that in yourself and find out what your levels are before you go dictating somebody else's levels. I can't get into Tiffany's car and tell her change the station and turn the music up. That wasn't her level. I have to monitor my levels, absorb what her levels are, and see if I like to listen to 97. I don't know what y'all got in New York, but if I want to listen to that radio station, I got to monitor myself. That's where I want to be to basically then, of course, realize that, hey, this is where I got to go in. This is how I got to monitor my ego levels to be able to be compatible with somebody else.
Yeah, man, that is good, man. Okay, listen, I got to end this conversation because we are creeping on 9 o'clock and I want to leave some time for us to drop a gem for our gems and gents. But I quickly want to just give some shout outs. We see Sean Turpin, aka Chocolate Drop, in the comments. Hey, Sean. We see Deborah Barry, Jessica Newman. Welcome back to the show. Oh, hey, Cuzzo, Molly is in the Mr. Matthias husband is in the comments. We see you, sir. Thank you for making your appearance. Hey, Ivory, we see you in the comments. Thank you so much. Danielle, what's up, beautiful? We see you in the comments. Thank y'all so much for being with us. If we did not shout you out or show you love, it is not that we don't appreciate you being here. Y'all know I can't always see, but we're glad that you're with us. So real quick, folks, I want to drop some gems. I want to leave a few moments for you to share your final thoughts. Literally, you can share whatever you want. It does not necessarily have to be specific or aligned with the show. Just anything that you believe our viewers, our listeners can really appreciate. And we call that our Here's a Gem moment, which is our final thoughts. So, of course, as the guest, I'm going to come to you first, Toy, to drop a gem.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about some stuff or give you a gem based on a couple of the shows that I've done, my own personal shows. Like I said, I do shows based on relationships and dating. And one of the main things that always comes up for women are when they say you ask a man where he's going. or we ask them where we're going, which is a big question. Like, where are we going with this relationship? Where are we going with this? And where are we going with that? The better question is to see and look and stand back and ask him, where he's going, and then see if you want to follow. If you do that in the beginning, you ain't got to worry about where we're going. You know what I'm saying? You go, you know where he's going. You're like, okay, where are you going with your life? If he names off 5 different things and ain't none of them marriage, then you know where he's going and it ain't marriage. And if marriage is one of your things, then guess what? He ain't going where you going. Point blank, period. Ain't no other way to it. That's the way it goes. What he says he's doing, where he says he's going is where he's going. And if it don't include you, that mean you ain't in there. It don't mean that I can change this man. I can make him see something different. You and the last 30 girls thought y'all can do that. And they wasn't in marriage with him either. So don't ask where we're going. Ask where he's going and decide if you want to follow.
That is so good. Y'all got that? Okay, y'all better catch the replay. Share this with your homegirls, even if for just that part. I'm telling you. And Toy, you said something in a conversation we were having about men date women or men pursue women based on who they are, but women pursue them based on who they can become or their potential.
Oh,
can
yeah.
You share that real quick? That blessed me. I want to help the gems out. Y'all
so again, we ain't that smart, y'all. Us men ain't really that smart. Let me tell you like this. When a man sees something, he loves something, he bases on what it is. A woman bases something on what it can be, meaning that men fall in love with what's in front of them. Women fall in love with potential. The problem with falling in love with potential is it is potential. It doesn't mean it's an actual proven fact that it's going to happen. So men, when they get in love, they fall in love with who you are. When they met you, you're that person. That's why you see some men go, well, she gained weight. You know what I'm saying? She ain't as funny as she used to be. She don't, because they fell in love with you at that moment and who you were. And we fall hard and we stay long. Women fall in love with the man, be like, you're a little dusty. I can fix him up. And they fall in love with that potential. And when he doesn't rise to that potential, now he's the problem. I had a moment of silence on that one. He shouldn't be the problem because he didn't live up to your potential of him. Your expectations on a man is never what you should have.
Man, that was so good. I appreciated it then and I appreciate it now. That was such a good word. Thank you for that. All right, Tiff, I'm going to come to you. Drop a gem for the people.
So first of all, what Toy said, I'm going to drink water and mind my business, but now here is my gem. Letting go. Gem, Jen, what are you holding on to? And does this thing that you are holding on to with death grips, this person, place, this thing, does it still continue to serve you? And if the answer is no, maybe, kind of, sort of, sometimes, let it go. It's time to experience something new. It is time to move on. There is potential, which isn't a bad thing. There are possibilities around the corner. Just got to let go of that thing you're holding on to right now. It reminds me of a meme. There's a hand of God that's coming down and the little kid is holding this ratty little teddy bear. And the kid is telling God, but I love it. But God has this bigger, more giant, fluffier bear for it. There's always something better when God is what's giving it to you.
Yeah, man, I love that, Tiff. Thank you. All right, gems and gents, I literally just have 2 quick thoughts. One, you still have 8 days left in February. This is your month. Take care of you, invest in you, do something great for yourself. And I'm not just talking a massage or a spa day or new purse or some new heels. I'm talking about doing something good for you. How do you build your character, self-awareness, healing? What parts of you are still broken and keeping you from the things that you want out of life? Make sure that you spend some time, intentional time, working on those things. The other thing I want to say is please be careful who you argue with on social media, because seriously, it's not worth it. I was watching some comments on different threads today, and it just gets so ugly, and us investing so much energy, so much negative energy in arguing with people that we'll probably never meet and never see again. It is not worth it. Apply wisdom. Okay, let's apply wisdom and make sure that we're investing our energy in the places that we're going to get a return. Okay, look at the fruit. That's all I said. Watch the fruit. Right, that's it. So that's all I had. As always, we so appreciate you. If we did not get to shout you out in the comments, we saw you, and we are going to come back and comment. As always, we are here next Wednesday, same time, same platform. Toy, please tell the people how they can reach you, how they can support your podcast.
Yeah, you can check me out on YouTube. Real Talk to You. That's real. REALTALK. The number 2 and you, all one word. Real Talk to You. Follow my YouTube. Got a lot of old shows. I've been doing podcasts for some time. My studio has gone through several changes. Some of the shows are there from season 1, 2, or 3. We talk to financial people. We talk to people that are deep in zodiacs. We talk to people that are just on a level of. We did a show called Dating and Doomsday. Is Bay ready? For the apocalypse? So we do a lot of interesting shows like that. So Real Talk to You on YouTube. You'll see a picture of me smiling like this with a microphone.
And you got some dope poets on your station and your platform. But Toy, thank you so much for spending this evening with us. We really appreciate you. We will definitely have you back. Of course, I'll see you on Sunday. I think it's my Sunday to serve. But Gems, gents, thank you for being with us. And until next time, y'all know what to do. Continue to hustle
and shine.
Mwah. Good night, folks. Here I go again, forgetting the outro. Why I do this every week? We need Mel. We really do. We miss you, Mel. Good night.
Let's go.